Coming up on UCF Nightly News. See how UCF is helping to prevent hydrogen gas leaks.
Learn how House Bill 7 is affecting classrooms on campus.
In sports, see how the men's club ultimate frisbee team at UCF is gearing up for preseason.
Nightly News starts now.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Allegra Montesano.
And I'm Keri Cercy. Today is Friday, October 14th, 2022. UCF took down statements condemning racism over the summer from certain departmental websites, leading some students to disappointment. Nightly News reporter Allegra shares how House Bill 7 is affecting our classroom campus.
The opposite of woke would be asleep.
In April, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 7, known as the Stop Woke Act. This measure limits conversation about race in places like classrooms and workplaces. Dr. Shelley Park is a philosophy professor at UCF who says her classroom lectures are affected by this bill.
It makes it impossible to talk about racism in any meaningful way.
Those statements published on certain departmental websites acknowledge systemic racism around the time George Floyd was murdered by police in 2020. But over the summer, UCF took them down, leading an anonymous group called Free Academia to petition against the university and spread awareness on social media.
The reason for that group being anonymous is some of them are grad students here employed by the university, and they're scared they may lose their jobs. But after speaking with them, they've made it clear they're not just going to stand by either.
This is a student, a part of the group, who wishes to remain anonymous for that very reason.
People should feel fine about their race, but we have to acknowledge the history of racism and white supremacy in this country.
And Dr. Park says the statements weren't meant to offend anyone, but to
express our solidarity with students that were feeling unwelcome.
I also reached out to UCF's provost and did not get a response. In Orlando, Alina Haru, UCF Nightly News.
Free Academia is asking UCF to do three things: apologize, eliminate censorship in classrooms, and restore the original statements condemning racism.
Combining philanthropy with environmentalism, a new UCF organization, Green Greeks, is doing just that. The group started as a way to unite Greek life through gardening. Now they're sprucing up school gardens to attract native pollinators, and they're starting to grow produce to donate to Knight's Pantry. President Cami Bassett says food insecure students should have more access to healthy options.
Food insecure students are lacking fresh vegetables, fresh fruits that really provide the nutrients that you might not get from other donations. And of course, everyone deserves a fair plate.
Open to any and all students who want to help out. If you're interested in joining, you can visit their Instagram page at Green Greeks at UCF.
Engineers at the Composite Materials and Structure Lab at UCF are developing materials to stop hydrogen leaks like the ones delaying the Artemis 1 launch. This will help safely send spacecraft in the future. Nightly News reporter Melanie Morales tells us more about the technology that they're developing thanks to the $1 million grant given by the Department of Energy.
Hydrogen, being the smallest molecule on the periodic table, allows for it to get into cracks, crevices, and voids, which makes materials brittle. This can become a problem because hydrogen is known to be explosive and reactive. This is one of the reasons why the Artemis launch was postponed. Dr. Jawajan Go, a mechanical and aerospace engineering professor, tells us how hydrogen may have affected the Artemis launch.
Yeah, well, this is not a surprise because hydrogen is hard to deal with, as I said. And that's why SpaceX chose the methane instead of hydrogen. So it has been challenging for a while.
The U.S. Department of Energy granted the researchers at UCF $1 million to conduct their work. The grant given by the Department of Energy covers the design, modeling, manufacturing, synthesis, and testing of the ceramic matrix composites.
In my hand, I'm holding a high-temperature ceramic composite, which was cured in the autoclave right behind me.
The ceramic matrix composites are used in hydrogen engines under very high temperatures, pressure, and water content, withstanding temperatures above 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is hot enough to melt a rock. The autoclave is a giant oven that cures the composites at a temperature of 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Christopher Valera, an aerospace and engineering graduate student, tells us how the different ceramic matrix composites are cured.
All of our parts. So after we make our laminates, whether it be carbon fiber, glass fiber, what have you, some of them cure at room temperature, but most of them we subject to a post-cure, which is essentially we subject them to high temperature, high pressure.
A high-pressure facility allows them to study the combustion of many gases. One of them is hydrogen gas and how it plays a part in new high-temperature environments for turbines and rocket engines like the Artemis. In Orlando, Melanie Morales, UCF Nightly News.
With various test trials in the works, the UCF researchers will officially start their 2-year project in December.
From space to the Caribbean, just 90 miles from the United States, Cuba is feeling the effects of their alliance with Russia. 60 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis, Russia's Vladimir Putin threatens the use of nuclear weapons against Ukraine. His Cuban allies are feeling the effects of this threat. UCF Pegasus professor Luis Martinez Fernandez says, "We are seeing things in Cuba we have never seen before."
What we're seeing today is 60 years after the missile crisis is that the Cuban infrastructure is in shambles. Things that never happened before. I mean, it's almost a daily occurrence for buildings that are inhabited to collapse.
Martinez Fernandez says that 60 years later, the island of Cuba finds itself in its deepest crisis ever. The socialist regime is unable to provide basic needs such as food, medicine, and electric energy.
UCF Lake Nona Hospital is thinking pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is the first time UCF Medical is sponsoring the Bras for a Cause event hosted by Nona professional ladies.
UCF Lake Nona Hospital's physicians and Nona professional ladies are bringing women together to educate them about breast cancer. Together, they are supporting Cause for Bra by raising money for women who are uninsured and need mammograms. The UCF Lake Nona Hospital and its employees created an art installation for decorative bras, wine, cheese, and an informative discussion from medical experts. The fundraiser for Bras for a Cause is a dollar-for-dollar donation, and the women attending are voting for their favorite bra. Okay. Dr. Raj Rajpada is a radiation oncologist at the hospital. His role in the event is to educate.
Panel speakers, so I'll be educating women on breast cancer and also the treatment options for breast cancer. So yeah, this event is of course very important. Anytime you can bring awareness to breast cancer, it's very important. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women.
Mayra Nieves is a member of the Lake Nona Chamber of Commerce, and she is a 5-year breast cancer survivor. Nieves says she feels proud to support women and educate them on breast cancer awareness.
As a patient, I feel that if I can help somebody else to do the job, to make sure that they are aware what need to do to avoid getting breast cancer, I feel very proud that I can do that. Just want to make sure that women know that breast cancer is nothing that we have to hide.
UCF physicians educate women during the event and brought awareness to patients and family members to make sure they get their mammograms. Many patients shared their story during the event and supported each other. In Orlando, Ruby Merced, UCF Nightly News.
All donations from Bras for a Cause will be sent to the American Cancer Society to help in the fight against cancer.
Florida toll roads are now going on 2 weeks of free-to-drive highways. Governor Ron DeSantis suspended toll collection September 27th as part of emergency efforts to get Floridians evacuated before Hurricane Ian. Toll collection officials say they are losing $1.5 million a day and lost over $22 million since the emergency closure. Former UCF student Jocelyn Polo lives in the Orlando area and says she's taking advantage of faster free travel.
I'm a big fan of the suspended tolls. I normally don't take tolls, but now that they're suspended, I take them everywhere I go, and I will be taking them everywhere I go until they are no longer suspended.
Governor Ron DeSantis announced Thursday that tolls will open back up on Saturday.
Now with a look at today's weather, let's toss it to Kyle DeWitt. Hey Kyle, how's it looking outside?
Thanks guys. The weather's actually looking perfect outside as of right now, and we will see a high of 86 degrees today. Going into the evening, a couple bands of light showers are going to be moving into the area, so make sure you guys bring an umbrella or a light jacket. After a beautiful week of cool temperatures for Florida standards after Hurricane Ian, we're back into the mid-80s, typical October weather for Florida. 84% back to what Floridians, 84% humidity is back to what Floridians know and love. And after a little bit of rain today, looking at this weekend, it should be a perfect weekend for outdoor activities with no chance of rain. But we will get to more of that in the 5-day forecast later in the show. Allegra and Keri, back to you.
Thank you for the forecast, Kyle. And stay tuned to see how a new organization is helping Southwest Florida.
Plus, how to stay on track academically following the hurricane. We'll be right back.
Southwest Florida is still suffering from damage after Hurricane Ian struck, leaving residents powerless and with immense flood damage. UCF Nightly News reporter Gabrielle Wilson shows what 2 college students are trying to do to help their hometown recover.
After Hurricane Ian's destruction in the southwest part of Florida, residents in that area were left with unexpected expenses and damages to their homes. That's why UCF student Sammy Diaz started Save Southwest Florida, a new nonprofit organization. She hopes it will help her hometown's residents gain back what was lost.
I feel like it is my responsibility, being from that neighborhood, being one of those kids trying to figure it out every day. So this is my opportunity to, a lot of people sacrifice for me to get here. So this is my opportunity to pour it back down, fill up other people's cups.
Many residents in the Southwest Florida area are still without power and are struggling with flood damage, making their homes inhabitable. The organization's goal is to gain volunteers and raise at least $50,000 to $100,000 in funds. Donations can be in the form of financing basic needs, small infrastructures like power grids and water systems, or through their relief fund on their website, SaveSouthwestFlorida.com. Logan Freed, Save Southwest Florida Human Resource Director, was severely impacted by the storm. He believes that this nonprofit will be helpful to community residents who may not have the proper resources to help them in a crisis such as this.
Our house was actually still standing, surprisingly, but it was basically like a shell, I guess you could put it. The whole first floor, which is where my brother and then his family lives, my oldest brother, it got completely wiped out.
Organization leaders hope they will succeed to help fund the necessary resources to better the damaged community. In Orlando, Gabrielle Wilson, UCF Nightly News.
Save Southwest Florida is looking for volunteers to help spread the word and support residents of Southwest Florida. If interested, you can visit their website at SaveSouthwestFlorida.com.
Ecuadorian students at UCF will now have an opportunity to feel closer to home. For the first time, there will be an Ecuadorian Student Association on campus. The club had its first official appearance at the Festival de Barrio on Tuesday. Kayla Nunez, the president of ECSA, says her goal is to bring awareness of Ecuadorian culture to the UCF community.
It's because I think that representation matters. So we wanted to create like a home away from home. So we wanted to like create a club where Ecuadorians can just gather together and share customs and traditions and events that will just like help us grow as a community and such.
The Ecuadorian Student Association will continue hosting different events throughout the semester. For those interested in learning more, you can find them at Instagram at ECSA-UCF for updates.
With midterms fast approaching and many still recovering from Hurricane Ian, some students may be struggling more than usual. UCF Knightly News reporter Desiree Grant provides a refresher on ways to focus academically and mentally.
We've been back in the classroom for 2 weeks since Hurricane Ian. While instructors were urged to provide flexibility, assignments and midterms likely won't completely disappear from students' to-do lists. UCF's Assistant Director of Outreach and Prevention at Counseling and Psychological Services, Vanessa Stein, shares how students can maintain their mental health in the midst of exams and storm recovery.
Making connections with people. It's also about understanding that there's going to be ups and downs, right? So finding balance in things, self-care, doing things that you enjoy.
A study by the American Psychological Association shows that 87% of college students report academics to be their primary source of stress. Jessica Johnson, coordinator of the Academic Coaching and Engagement Program at the Student Academic Resource Center, shares some ways students can stay on track academically at this point in the semester. As important as mental health is, some might find that hard to balance when grades are slipping or assignments are piling up.
Maybe get like a whiteboard and plan out like their assignments and their personal life throughout the month. That way they can kind of see it as a visual and see what their month looks like and what they need to focus on each week.
Zeigarnik effect is a psychological concept that shows that having a written plan can free up working memory, which can make it easier for students to focus on the task at hand. In Orlando, Desiree Grant, UCF Nightly News.
Because of Hurricane Ian, CAPS is offering workshops to support students and help them with stress. No registration needed. The next one will be a drumming workshop on Wednesday, October 19th at 3 p.m.
After the break, we'll check in with Kyle and get a weather update.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Nightly News. Let's toss it over to Kyle where he can tell us about this week's weather forecast.
Thanks, guys. Florida, after Hurricane Ian, is finally back to warm temperatures and a lot of humidity. But the highs for today, Tallahassee is going to be back to 84 degrees, with Jacksonville sitting a little bit lower, 83 degrees. Tampa and Orlando, a little bit hotter here in Central Florida, sitting at 87 and 86 degrees. Miami actually quite cool at 81 degrees. But now let's go ahead and take a look at today's lows. Tallahassee is going to be sitting at 58 degrees, quite cold. 65 degrees for Jacksonville tonight, a little bit warmer. And then Tampa and Orlando, yet again on the hot side at 70 and 71 degrees tonight. And Miami, actually quite chilly at 42. They're going to need a jacket for sure. But now we're going to look at today's rain chances as well. All across the board except for Orlando, we're going to be sitting at a 0% chance of rain. And yet again, with those light bands of showers coming in tonight, 50% chance of rain in Orlando. But now we're going to look at today's 5-day weather forecast as well. Looking into Saturday and Sunday, it's actually going to be quite warm at 86 and 87 degrees with no chance of rain and all sunny skies with lows of 70 and 69 and lows of 70 and 69. Going into early next week, we're still going to be warm on Monday at 87 degrees, but going into Tuesday and Wednesday, a cold front's going to be coming in for the north. 80 degrees all the way down to 75 on Wednesday. But looking at that all week, 0% chance of rain. That's a great sign for Florida everywhere. Keri and Allegra, back to you.
Thank you, Kyle. Coming up, we'll get a preview into men's ultimate frisbee.
Plus, see how the UCF club basketball team is adjusting to new leadership.
Good afternoon, Knight Nation. I'm Riley Sheppard, and this is your weekly UCF Sports Update. Men's Club Ultimate Frisbee at UCF is preparing for their first tournament of the season happening this weekend. Nightly News reporter Keri Cercy takes us to the field with the team.
The first tournament of the season is quickly approaching for the Men's Club Ultimate Frisbee team. This week, the Dogs of War are preparing to face off against 8 teams at Kennel Kickoff. Last season, they were the #1 team in Florida, and now they are trying to keep that momentum going. Head coach Michael Taylor says their toughest rivalry will be the University of Florida.
So that's always the biggest competition. Every time we play them, it gets very intense. Last year, I think we only played them once, and they beat us pretty badly, left a real bad taste in the guys' mouth, so I know they're looking forward to playing them again this weekend.
Because of Hurricane Ian canceling 3 practices, the team is having to play catch-up. Taylor says what surprised him the most is their offense.
We were really worried about who was going to fill those roles, who was going to step up, and so far at practice, they've worked really well together. It's looked much smoother already than I was expecting.
Alex Mooney plays on defense for the Dogs, and for him, this tournament is going to showcase how he can help his team succeed.
Given that this is the first tournament we've had since last April, I think, so I want to see how far I've come and what I need to improve on to get us or to help us get to the next level.
The team's main goal going forward is to qualify for regionals and to make it to the national championship this year. You can catch the Dogs of War at Kennel Kickoff this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. In Orlando, Keri, Cercy, UCF Nightly News.
The Dogs of War first official game starts at 9:30 tomorrow morning at the RWC grass fields, and all fans get in free. For the UCF Basketball Club, scheduling tournaments does not come without its roadblocks, including players stepping up in coaching roles. I hit the hardwood with the team to get an inside look on the team's dynamic. For UCF Club basketball players, playing on the team provides them an opportunity to continue playing at a high level for the sport they love. But for some, they have elevated that role, filling in as player coaches to pass down their love of the game. Jeremiah Cecil, treasurer of the club, says without players stepping up, the quality of play suffers.
That's one of the biggest aspects of it, because without that, then the club isn't going to run at all.
With membership fees costing $80 for the year and $50 for the semester, the Hooping Knights use those funds to pay for tournaments, travel costs, and other aspects. And while alumni will come back from time to time to offer coaching help, the team leans on current players to fill that void. Even for newer players such as Donald Mark Eugene, who is in his first year as a member of the team, he says he already feels at home.
When you see them as coaches, like they can tell you what you're doing wrong, but then also they can come to you and pull you aside and ask you and tell you what you're doing wrong.
Those that serve as player coaches, they often need to take a back seat to educate younger players. But for Vanessa Smarth, who is entering her second season and is president of the club, she says the pros outweigh the cons in her role.
You have to take that back seat to lead and uplift everybody else, despite how badly you might want to play. And I'm okay with doing that. The benefit is a lot greater than me, so I'm okay with that.
In Orlando, Riley Sheppard, UCF Nightly News. The team is currently in the process of scheduling their first scrimmage against fellow Florida schools, and the annual Knights of the Hardwood tournament is also in the works for later this semester. Keri and Allegra, back to you.
That's our time for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, nightlynews.ucf.edu.
And if you got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.